Hi there, Paul Bond from NovaBuzz here. I'd like to talk to you about the financial aspect of getting involved with a network marketing business. Now, people will start their own home-based network marketing business for many different reasons. For some, it's all about getting out there, meeting new people, making new friends and connections. And for others, it's about helping people reach their full potential and realise their goals and dreams and aspirations. And certainly that's a part of it for myself. But really the holy grail of any network marketing business is this residual income. Now, what is that? Well, it's a royalty income, much like a rock star or a famous writer, a famous author would get. Now, those eagle-eyed amongst you will notice I've got a couple of guitars lying around in my studio. I've got them dotted all around. Well, I spent many decades, I know I don't look old enough, 3 decades in the rock and roll industry. So I understand what this royalty income business is all about. So if you're Led Zeppelin or these days Ed Sheeran or Adele, you write a song, you do that once, and every time it gets played on the radio, ka-ching, you get paid again and again and again. And that's what we're after in network marketing. So there are 2 streams of income with network marketing. You've got the retail side and you've got the team building side. So I'm going to talk about the whole thing really. I'm going to lump the figures, both the sales and the team building side into one here. But I was just playing around with some figures and I was thinking, how much money would I need in a bank account to achieve the kind of income that I'm getting at the moment? So I'm going to be open and honest with you and tell you that really as a combination of my retail side and my team building side, the network marketing side of my business, I'm roughly in the region, it ebbs and flows depending on the time of year, but roughly around £25,000. This is me 3 years later working very, very part-time, okay? Now, certainly the people that introduced me to the business have been doing this for 7 years. It's a married couple and they are both independently earning 6 figures. Again, working this part-time. But there comes the point where you work so part-time, there comes a point where your income is so good, and I'm on that cusp now, that you can consider doing it full-time, and then that's when the magic happens. You can dedicate more time to your business. But just have a look at this. This is really interesting. So about £25,000. So how much would I need to invest currently in the UK to have a kind of decent income of £25,000? Now, I'm not going to be talking about stocks and shares because that's fraught with dangers, really. If you don't know what you're doing, and I don't, you can really lose a lot of money. But let me just draw your attention now to the current interest rate from the Bank of England. So here's the bankofengland.co.uk, and if we scroll down, the current interest rate is 0.75%. Now, that doesn't mean that if you put your money in a bank account, you're going to earn 0.75%, if only. Just, you know, I randomly pulled up HSBC, for example. If you have a look here, 0.1%. If you get an account where you have to put in between £1 and £10,000, yeah, you could get 0.5%. Wow, amazing. Just half of 1%. But that's only if you don't withdraw any money within a monthly period. And there are various other ones where this is, let's see, £10,000 plus. Oh, it goes down to 0.1 again. I don't quite understand why. Regular savers. This is only up to a maximum of 250 quid in your account, but they'll give you 2.75%. So you can see on average, we're talking about 0 point something, okay, 0.2. Let's have a look. Let's have a look for a really, really good one. 0.75, 0.5. balances above £12,000. That's on an ISA, 0.1. So again, we're nowhere near the 0.75 that the Bank of England are giving. These are pretty good. If we look at, for example, here, if you've got £2,000 or more and you leave it in for 3 years, you might get 0.85%. So you're getting the idea. It's less than 1%. Okay. Now, I've found this interest calculator. If you just do a search on, what did I search for? Bank interest generator, and I came up with this. It's by a company called London and Country. I have no idea who they are. I'm not endorsing them, but they've just got this interesting calculator. And so, for example, if I was to say, let's suppose I had £300,000. Okay, so that's 300 and 6 zeros, and we had an interest rate of 2%, which is very generous. Then my annual interest would be £4,800. Okay, so as you can see, if I'm talking about my situation, if I'm earning £25,000, then I've effectively got a hell of a lot more than that in my bank account. Do you see what I mean? So, okay, well, let's see what it would be if I had £500,000 in, 500,000, and let's recalculate it. So even if I had £500,000 in a really generous savings account that I wouldn't be able to touch for 3 years, I'd be earning £8,000 as a royalty income. But I'm earning more than that, okay? So, okay, well, let's see about it if it was, let's say, £1 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros on there. Isn't that interesting? So, at a very, very generous interest rate of 2%, if I had £1 million in my bank account, I'd be getting paid £16,000 a year. So, let's see what it must be, something like around £1.5 million. Yeah, okay, let's go with that. So at an interest rate of 2%, if I had £1.5 million in a bank account that I could not touch for 3 years, I'd be getting an interest rate which is roughly equivalent to what I earn from my network marketing business. How amazing is that? So you can have a little play around with this, because in the real world, as you've seen, in actual fact, just looking at HSBC, we're looking at less than 1%. So, you know, if I was to put it at 1% and say I had £2 million in my bank account, that still wouldn't cover it. Well, what would £3 million be? Let's calculate that. Okay, so at around 1%, which again is at the upper end, not being able to touch my money for 3 years, I have got the equivalent of £3 million in my bank account. That's working for 3 years, very part-time. For those of you that know my story, I started my network marketing business the very same week I started doing a master's degree. I did this just purely to help bring in a little bit of money while I was studying. Anybody that's done a master's degree will know it's a hell of a lot of work. So that will give you an indication as to how much work I put into building up my team. Not very much at all. So have a look at this. Have a look at the power of this residual income, because it's mind-blowing for me. It's really eye-opening. Even if you're just earning, oh my God, let's say you're only earning £10,000 a year out of that. Sorry, my maths is really, really bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, £1 million. Okay, well, maybe you're not earning £1 million. Sorry, maybe you've not invested £1 million, but £750,000 maybe. Yeah, okay, let's bring it down a bit more. Let's call it 600,000. Okay, so even if you're only earning £5,000 a year from your home-based business, that's the equivalent of having over £500,000 in a bank account that you wouldn't even be able to touch for 3 years. Are you starting to see the power of it now? Now, the figures can just go crazy. The people that introduced me to this business, they both independently of each other, this married couple, independently earn 6 figures each out of network marketing. So if you thought, they've got, over £200,000 a year, they've probably got nearer 3 going into their household. And again, let's put it up to a more realistic 2%. Let's be really, really generous. How much would they have to have in the bank account to earn £250,000? Let's see. I'm just going to pluck a figure. How about £8 million? 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Nowhere near. That would have to be double, wouldn't it? 16. Okay, about £16 million to get that kind of money at a very generous 2% interest rate. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, oh, if you had that kind of money, then you'd get a better rate of interest. Well, yeah, you probably would, and you'd probably play the stock market and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, they don't have £16 million, but it is the equivalent of having £16 million. So to compare apples with apples, I think to say a 2% interest rate is very, very generous. It's probably actually 1.5, let's have a look at that. So at 1.5, they're probably looking at something more like £20 million, maybe. There we go. 1.5, a very generous interest rate. Again, you wouldn't be able to touch that money in the bank, but they would be they would have the equivalent of £20 million in a bank account. That's lottery money. That's insane. In the business that I'm in, the top earner earns £600,000, just over £600,000 a year. I mean, that's just an insane amount of money. So that would be the equivalent of what? 60 million, is it? Something like that? Okay, not as much as that. Okay, let's have a look at £50 million. Okay, 50 million is the equivalent of having £50 million in your bank account. Hopefully you can see the strength of this. And, I again urge you, even if you're earning just £1,000 a year, £5,000 a year, just have a little play with this and see what the equivalent you would have to have in your bank account. It's very, very powerful stuff. So don't let anybody tell you that, you're just working for a little bit of extra pin money, because this is really, really serious stuff. Anyway, I hope you got a lot out of this. If you want to find out more, you can get me on Twitter and Instagram, NovaBuzz. Have a look. On Facebook, you can find me, Paul Bond, and let's connect. Anyway, bye-bye for now.